Russo Northern supports upstate New York construction with over 400 employees, 250 trucks, 9 ready-mix plants, 4 blacktop plants, and 40 aggregate mines. But their most important number is your bottom line. Contact them today to see why Russo Northern has been the choice for contractors and project managers across upstate New York since 1929.
All right, everybody, welcome into Concrete Jungle, a New York baseball podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo and Kyle Evans here with you as always. Plenty to get to today. Some fun stuff, some not so fun stuff. More so, I guess, fun for the Yankees this time around. Not as fun for the Mets. Kyle, been a pretty interesting week for both these teams. How's the week been for you?
Yeah, it's been good. Don't really like when the Yankees play terrible teams. The energy and the vibes are just not good. But last night the vibes were high, and the Yankees got a series win, and that's really all that matters. And hopefully, over these next 40 games, we continue to see a very tight race in the AL East and all around the league.
Yeah, certainly think it's going to be really the case, especially league-wide. Let's just jump right into it. I kind of want to start here, even though I think the main thing we should be starting with is Aaron Judge. But hand up, I want to apologize to Will Warren and Nestor Cortez. I was unfamiliar with your game when I was talking shit last week. They both go out and have games of the season so far. I mean, I know it's against the White Sox, but, hey, leave it to me to be the one who sat here last week and then the next starts out for each of them. They just go out there and be really, at worst, quality starting pitchers that time through the rotation for each.
Yeah, how about that? Luis Seal had the worst start of the three against the White Sox. I mean, I hope Nestor, starts pitching well like he did that night. And Will Warren, I thought for sure, like we talked about, he wasn't going to get another opportunity, but he did. So maybe we'll see him more down the stretch here. But, yeah, I mean, other than the opener when they got absolutely destroyed, a lot of good things happened in the series, and looking forward to the next.
Yeah, the thing with Warren, too, is now he's already on his third option, right, technically? So just keep that in the back pocket for later on, I suppose, when we start to wonder how many he's got left there. Yeah, it's baseball's weird sometimes. Look at that first game against the White Sox, right? And it's like, leave it to the worst team in baseball to have one of their better games all year against the best team in baseball, right? And, for what it's worth, I know there was a little bit of blowback, but, I fully agreed with Alex Verdugo's quote following the game on Monday night, where it was just like, more frankly, right, that's baseball sometimes. You can't really kind of control it every now and then, and I'll pull one from the Yankee subreddit that I was reading where, how quickly people forget the, that's baseball, Susan, quote from John Sterling type. It just happens every now and then, right? Not ideal, but, overall, since we last spoke, having to deal with a doubleheader with the Rangers on Saturday because of weather, winning 4-6 is, nothing to really turn your head at in terms of the Yankees here. And, could they have been better? Sure, but, we'll get to it with the Mets, where it's like, well, I think the Yankees will gladly take the 4-6 option that sometimes you just have to take and move on and just accept the fact that you got a couple more games above 500 and you're just inching closer along and getting going to this postseason push.
Yeah, I think the frustrating part, though, is, they only have a half-game lead, and losing that series to the Angels hurts. And then, you just see how bad the White Sox are. And I think maybe it wouldn't have been as bad had they only lost by a couple runs. But to get blown out the way they did, the White Sox set season highs in runs scored, hits, everything. It was just complete domination. And, Yeah, I woke up today and I still could not believe that they got blown out as bad as they did. Maybe I could see a loss, like you said, it could happen at any point. I mean, the Orioles just lost to the Nationals, and I know the Nationals aren't as bad as the White Sox, but I mean, the Orioles, nobody's talking about how they just lost to the Nationals.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's better than, losing the series of the White Sox, but I hope that game doesn't come back to hurt them in the long run, because this is just such a tight race that you got to beat up on these bad teams, and because the Yankees still have some good teams to play. Like Cleveland's coming up very soon, so I just hope it doesn't come back to hurt them.
Yeah, they have, in fact, Cleveland due up next week. So keep an eye on that. All right, let's get to that funner stuff here. Really, the bigger headline I'd say throughout the week now has become Aaron Judge. Maybe a lesser degree Juan Soto, but Aaron Judge getting most of the headlines now because he's the fastest player in MLB history to 300 career home runs via games played, also by plate appearances. It's kind of crazy, right? Because in a lot of ways it does feel like it was just yesterday when they kind of called him up with Tyler Austin, but it's interesting because I can't remember who exactly said on MLB Network last night, but I got home and listening to it, and they brought the fact that Judge isn't really he is a power hitter, right? But he's just a really great overall hitter, and there's no easy way outs with him and stuff like that. And the fact of the matter is, it makes you wonder a little bit, right? Because obviously he took the college route, quote unquote, as we call it, and kind of gets to the big leagues at maybe a slightly delayed timeline compared to some other guys in terms of age, and it makes you wonder what number he ends up stopping at. Not to go too much in the speculative state of things, quote unquote, but we're talking about a guy in my mind that 500 is more than attainable. 600 might be a little bit pushing it potentially, but the fact of the matter is we have not seen a player get to this mark quicker in MLB history than Aaron Judge.
Yeah, it's definitely he's definitely one of the best hitters ever, and he's doing it in an era where obviously the pitching is way better. Guys are throwing harder, and the biggest takeaway with him too is, he's not. I get it, they're not on the same level, but I'm gonna mention Pete Alonso. He's not like home run and bad average. He hits for average.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hitting 333 now.
Yep.
Just incredible. I think this is definitely a better season than he had when he hit 62, because he's getting on base even way more. His OPS is through the roof. I mean, he leads almost in every category. Yeah. It's like I pulled up the numbers last night. It's like it's hard to believe. Like there's still 40 games left, and these are his numbers. Yeah. So it's incredible to watch, and we're so lucky to be able to watch him every day. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there was a lot of talk about, obviously him being the possibility of getting back to that 62 mark. Don't know if he'll necessarily see that. I think he'd...
So he needs 19 in 40 games.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
I mean, it's possible, but man, it's kind of like you'd have to go on a tear type.
He has 12 in the last 21 games. So yeah, he's been rolling.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is he has 12 in the last 21 games, and he's been walked a ton. Mm-hmm. He has 14 intentional walks, which leads the league. He has 102 walks overall, which is tied with Soto, and he's still hitting for the average and home runs.
And talk about a guy who has been overshadowed, like I mentioned now, because of what's happened last night for Aaron Judge. But I mean, Juan Soto has had a couple games here, to say the least. Continue what he's done for the Yankees, his first career three home run game. There we go. Tuesday night, another one last night. And he was the guy that the White Sox actually walked to get to Aaron Judge last night. I mean, look, we've talked about it a ton on here, and I think it's no coincidence you get a guy like Stanton back in the lineup a little bit. Although, to be fair, Austin Wells has really come on pretty well as well here in this lineup. So you really don't have any easy outs anymore, and I think that's why you see some of these guys now just having to sign their own death certificate in a way, right? And just having to walk some of these guys to just have a force out and play type scenario, or just not even bother facing Soto or Judge or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, the thing about the decision last night, the White Sox had no real easy way out of it. I mean, they were going to either face Soto, who hit 4 home runs against them in two nights, or they were going to face Judge, who hadn't homered in the series, but is extremely dangerous. So I get that everyone's like going after them, like, why would you walk Soto to face Judge? Well, they're both insane. They're hitting over 300. Soto now has 34 home runs. He's only 9 away from Judge, which is crazy. So, I mean, there was no easy way out of it. They were going to have to face one of them, and that was it. And it was funny because Soto, after the game, thought that Judge was going to be intentionally walked too, which I guess that could have worked.
Yeah.
Intentionally walk back-to-back and load the bases, 2 outs. But no, they didn't do it. And it was a 3-0 pitch. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Only the third 3-0 pitch homer for him ever.
I don't know what the deal was last night, but I had a guy in the team I coach. He swung at a 3-0 pitch yesterday. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? But a little bit different, I'd say, at levels there. Yankees, however, do not escape Chicago unscathed, as I call it, in the grand scheme of it. Jazz Chisholm placed on the 10-day injured list. They're calling it a left elbow strain. It's the UCL. The positive, right? Non-throwing elbow. But surgery is still on the table as of right now. Just brutal because of what he was kind of already doing with the Yankees and in the lineup. It sucks. I think the positive is that we know, in theory, he should be able to swing the bat sooner than later, no matter the outcome, as I call it. We've seen that now a couple times over with whether it's Shohei Ohtani or Bryce Harper. But you're losing what had been a pretty good bright spot in that infield since coming over at the trade deadline.
Yeah, definitely. And it made the lineup, more balanced, and you could split up the lefties and righties a little more. I don't know. I have this feeling, though, that, he'll rest like they've been telling him to do, and then I think he's going to try to avoid surgery. That would be my guess here. Obviously, we have to wait and see. He's getting a lot of opinions from doctors, but I think if he can, since it is his non-throwing arm, try to just rest and come back maybe in a few weeks, 3-4 weeks, and try to play the final couple weeks of the regular season to see how you do. And if you can go, you can go, and if not, at least you tried.
Yeah, and the guy who gets the call up for him, at least for the time being, Oswald Peraza. Haven't seen him in a while, obviously, at the big league level. I wouldn't say he's outright lighting the world on fire at AAA this year, but he was doing all right compared to what I'd say the initial start of the season really was for him at AAA. So get to kind of see him. Don't know how this is going to shake out, admittedly, in my mind. Kind of feel, I hate phrasing it like this, but kind of feels almost in a way that it's kind of like a tryout moment for him. Not to jump too far ahead, but it sounds like John Birdie is going to be probably back in the big leagues here within a 2 to 3 week range, give or take. So I kind of feels tryouty for Peraza, admittedly.
Well, my thought is I don't think he's going to play much. Oswaldo Cabrera has been playing very well when he gets starts. Last night he was a key contributor. So I get that they have to make a move to bring up an infielder, but I just don't think you should bring him up when he's not going to play very much. Other than if you give like Glaber a day or DJ a day, then you can shift around the infield a little bit. But
those were the two names for me where I'm looking at. I'm like, I feel like they're kind of just going to. I don't think they're going to do a true cycle, if you will, right, in that sense. But we've seen, obviously, we know DJ's struggles all year collectively so far. And we know kind of what I would call the short leash that Glaber has at the moment. I just feel, in my gut, could be wrong, I think you're probably closer to being right than I am, admittedly, that we'll probably see Peraza get more playing time than, say, a guy like Jahmai Jones did. You know what I mean? So, again, I think you're closer to being right than I am as of right now. It's just I feel like it could go my way pretty quick, admittedly.
I think we'll see him maybe once in Detroit this weekend. I don't know. He's been up before, and they kind of like stay away from him. They don't really use him a ton.
Right.
And I know there's spots for him. And Boone did mention that he wanted to get Volpe a day, but then Chisholm got hurt.
Right.
So, and Volpe hasn't had a day off in a while, and he's been struggling again really bad since he fouled the ball off his foot.
So
he might get a start. That's what I mean. You might get one start in Detroit, and then that's about it.
I was also going to say we could get the return of shortstop DJ LeMahieu. Shout out the Chicago Cubs days for that. Okay, Jose Trevino, rehabbing with Double-A Somerset at the moment. We knew at the end of last week that it was going to happen, just didn't really know the location. And in true podcast fashion for us, we knew, I think it was within a 3-hour window afterwards where he was ending up. So
he's already played in 3 games.
Yeah, so the interesting part here, I'll jump ahead. I'll go to the other Trevino here, and that Lou Trevino, he's also rehabbing at the moment with Double-A Somerset as well. So
got a strikeout last night.
Yeah, I was about to say I haven't seen any really good stat line on him yet, admittedly, but I think
he's going to need a lot of outings.
I was going to say beggars can't be choosers, I think, in terms of when an arm's available. But, yeah, you brought it up right there, Kyle. He hasn't pitched at a
full spring training
period competitive level in, a year and a half at least? No, actually. Will he be pushing 2 years now?
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Late 2022?
Yeah. So
like a 16, 17-month recovery?
Yeah. So I think we'd see him at the big league level at some point this year. Just don't know what that extent would be. Kind of in a way. Either way, back to it. Ian Hamilton continuing some live batting practice sessions. Kind of seems like his ramp up is getting to the point now where I feel like rehab's nothing officially is said this part, but I feel like his rehab stuff has got to be coming up now at this point. If the way he's progressed along here the past couple weeks.
Yeah, and they really could use him. I really just think they kind of need to reshuffle the bullpen right now. I mean, it's has not been good. I mean, it struggled even against the White Sox.
Yeah.
But, adding some of these arms that are rehabbing, I think would just make the bullpen better. Some of these guys were a big part of their success in the first half.
Right.
Ian Hamilton's been very good for them.
Right. Yeah, he's been quite the revelationary find. Clark Schmidt threw a 32-pitch live batting practice session yesterday on Wednesday, and the plan is rehab assignment here by next weekend, the timeline anyway. Kind of seems like he's in a pretty good spot here to make that next step as well.
I can't wait till he's back. Kick Nestor out, go to the bullpen Nestor. I think Tim Hill's days may be limited despite how good he's been.
Right. Well, I was going to say, it's been interesting. I mean, Mike Tonkin again, kind of. I know yesterday's a little bit different, but I mean,
he struggled a little bit recently, and then yesterday looked good. And I hate saying that because it's the White Sox. They have the worst offense in every category.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a win is a win, and performance is performance. So
it's all coming up White Sox. Ian Hamilton, former White Sox as well.
Tommy Kahnle struggled against. Remember, he was a White Sox.
That's true.
He gave up a run. Or, no, he couldn't get the save on Tuesday night.
Correct, yeah. And a poor trash bin paid the price for it. Cody Poteet scheduled to throw a live batting practice session today. Don't know if that's actually happened yet or not, but that is on the docket for him. Kind of already mentioned Trevino and John Birdie as well, but he may start his rehab assignment as well next week. Continuing to do some batting and fielding work down in Tampa. A couple transactions since the last time we spoke. I'll do this one first, as I call him the human white flag. Iniel de los Santos designated for assignment. I don't. I guess it would be a rarity in this Cashman times, as we call it, for him to give up, or the team to give up on a guy that they acquired at the deadline. But he just has not been good since coming over. I think it was nine appearances or something like that. I might be getting that kind of wrong, but all I know is his runs double what his innings have been.
He had 11 ERA and 8 appearances. Yeah. 6 runs against the White Sox Monday night. Yeah, Monday night. So, yeah, I was kind of shocked that they moved on so quickly because he was a trade acquisition, but they also didn't give up a ton, so I guess you're kind of okay with it. But still, it's got to be embarrassing for Cashman. Well, 15 days after the trade deadline, he's already DFA'd.
I think if they didn't get the Lombard or the Balboni kid coming back through, it'd be a little bit different. But either way.
Well, Mark Leiter Jr. has a 5 ERA now with the Yankees.
That's true.
He's not been pitching good lately.
And then a depth trade occurred because minor league trades can still occur. Cam Eden traded from Toronto for cash. He's been with Scranton Wilkes-Barre since reporting. So that's just more or less a depth move. Nothing really to see there. Eden's been up with Toronto this year a couple times. Can't imagine, though, he'll be up for the Yankees unless something really crazy happens. So,
Yeah, I saw a reporter speculating that because he has a lot of speed and stolen bases, that this could be the Yankees' pinch runner in the postseason. There was Chris Kircher from The Athletic put that out. He's like, I wonder if this is going to be a pinch runner for the postseason. And I'm like, I don't know about wasting a roster spot for a guy that's only going to run.
I don't want to be that guy. I know he's not as fast as Eden, but I mean, wouldn't that just kind of be Trent Grisham then in that scenario?
Yeah.
Where there's already a roster spot being used.
Yep.
So
Kind of a waste, in my opinion.
yeah, I mean, like I said, that's probably just more depth than anything else, and you just kind of shut up and move on, I guess, in that sense. But all right, the Yankees off today, travel day. They're off to Detroit. I know, big travel from Chicago to Detroit in this sense. 3 games there, and then back home, as mentioned, against the Guardians. Detroit got some talent there, but I wouldn't put them out on the edge as being really all that concerned. Definitely my concern with the Yankees now in this next week has to be the Cleveland series. I know Detroit, do they play? Yeah, they play this afternoon against the Mariners, I believe. So,
Yeah, they're playing right now.
oh, how about it?
Top of the first.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, I think the Yankees sweep Detroit. The
Really?
Cleveland series worries the hell out of me. The main issue here's the funny thing about Cleveland right now. Normally it's their pitching that like I'm just like scared of, but they got some health issues going on with that rotation. But man, you want to talk about an offense that like we talk about like the Yankees having no easy outs in that middle part of the lineup. Cleveland right now has really no easy outs anywhere because they just put the ball in play. Your power guy at the moment is still kind of Jose Ramirez, but also Josh Naylor. And one hits for average, and one of them, may not be for average, but I recommend not hanging anything to him. So, pains me. I think Cleveland, though, gets 2 of 3 against the Yankees next week. So, I think that's what makes this series against Detroit crucial, right? We talk about it a lot, but you need to handle your business against a team you should be able to handle business against this weekend to make this back-end series of Cleveland, I guess less hold your breath in a way than it needs to be.
Yeah, that's why I keep referring to that series against the Angels. You can't lose that series, and you cannot lose a game to the White Sox. They're not just a bad team; they're historically bad. But they did nothing to do about it. You got to move forward. I think they only do take 2 of 3 though from the Tigers. The Yankees cannot beat left-handed starters. The only loss in the White Sox series was against a left-handed starter. And they faced Skubal on Sunday night with Marcus Stroman going. Not a good matchup. So I'm going to say they win 2 of 3. And then against Cleveland, yeah, I agree with you. The Yankees aren't a good home team this year. They have the best record on the road. They're not good at home. They did win in Cleveland way back in April when I was there, taking 2 of 3.
Right.
Should have swept, but Glaber made the error in the 9th, and
Shout out.
they lost in extras. So,
Yeah.
I say the Yankees only get 1 against Cleveland, which is a problem because, let's look, Orioles get Boston for 4, and they get the Mets for, what is it? Is it 2?
I think it's 2. No.
3?
No, it's 3. It's 3.
Yeah, so see, I mean, kind of counting on the Red Sox, the Red Sox might put up a fight, but it's like, I don't know. And then the Mets, they just got handled.
Which we will get to.
So see what I mean? These series, every game is so damn important.
Yeah. Baseball. Yeah, let's get over to the Mets here. Even I put in my notes struggle, but I feel like that's an understatement.
They couldn't score.
They go into Seattle against a team that has the second worst offense in the league right now. Has all year. And I just cannot believe sitting here last week when I was just like, I think, the Mets go out there and just handle business because all they need to do is put like 2 runs across. They couldn't even do that in the whole thing. They had 1 run across 3 games in Seattle. And and we'll get to the Oakland series here in a second, but
And of all people, Jeff McNeil drove it in with a home run.
Correct. And I was actually watching that when that was happening too, which again, it's just one of those things where right, I don't worry about them because like what they got going on right now, quote unquote baseball, right? It's just gonna happen. But like they really needed those series. You have the Phillies who are pretty floundering at the moment in the division, right? You have yourself and the Braves kind of going back and forth. But more importantly, in this broader picture, the NL playoff race is just a really wacky cacophony going on right now, to the point that look at the NL West. Now all of a sudden they're making a vie to have 3 teams in the playoffs. It's gonna be an interesting and tight race, to the point that if you're the Mets, you really need to hope that one of those games in Seattle don't make the difference out of the 3, because. And look, Seattle's got some really good pitching, right? Logan Gilbert, Brian Woo's pitching right now, for example, but George Kirby, guys like that. Luis Castillo, who I didn't even say off the bat, which is crazy, but they got good pitching. I'm not going to sit here and discredit what Seattle's pitching is. They're a really good pitching staff. But for your pitching staff to be the ones who get rocked by like the worst offense or second worst offense in the league, and that's the inexcusable part, at least in my mind.
Yeah, they got outscored 22-1.
Yeah.
Something I never thought we'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they needed to at least win one of those games. I know it was a long road trip, so they would get somewhat of a break if they just maybe won only one, but they didn't win a single one.
Correct. And not to outright interrupt here, but like, I don't think maybe many people know this unless you're doing some really far out looking. Sure, the Mets are back home right now. For obviously this series against Oakland, and
Miami,
this one coming against Miami and Baltimore. But then they have to go back out west again for another 10 days. Like, I don't know what the schedule makers were doing here, but they have to go back out to, I believe it's San Diego, Arizona, and then I think the White Sox. Yep. Like that's one of those things where it's like, luckily you bookend it with the White Sox, but like, Padres and the Diamondbacks are now the 2 hottest teams in baseball. They have jumped the Mets completely at this point. Like, you can't be going into those series now with what just happened in Seattle occurring again. Like, that just 22-1? What are we doing?
Yeah, and then they kind of get a little smoked in the opener against the A's. And I said last week the A's are tough, but then last night they bounced back, and now today they're going again right now.
Yep.
They got to win this series. They got to take care of Miami because then it gets real tough, like we just mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, and this Oakland series has been really, really interesting. I guess you begin with, you mentioned, game 1, right, on Tuesday, and you have former Met for a minute Austin Adams causing some. Not controversy. To me, it's a nothing burger. If you're the Mets, I think that's just more frustration on your end, getting upset at it than anything else. But
it's a song. Come on.
Right.
It's not like he's attacking his, personal stuff. It's just a song.
To me, the main issue is I just always go back to like, you don't want that to happen in the first place, then do something about it. Like,
and he didn't say, he didn't use words. He just made expressions. Like,
yeah,
it's so silly to be mad over it.
And apparently, he's kind of like that in general. Like, he'll just start randomly mouthing off to people. So, I've played with a couple guys like that. You're just better off letting them kind of blow their steam, or else stuff will just kind of be thrown.
And they responded with a blowout win last night, which is good. Yeah. Now blow them out again today and make your statement.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing, right? I mean, it was a big bounce back win last night. I know it was punctuated by Lindor, who had his 100th career home run for the Mets last night. But you mentioned Pete Alonso earlier, right, Kyle? But he had a really good game collectively at the dish last night. Kind of like one of those like you really needed it type deals, right? Not a knock on Jeff McNeil or anything like that, but when your anchor batter in the lineup being Alonso, to have a game like he did last night, kind kind of cements the fact that, you need that more often, very clearly, but, you can bounce back and have those types of games and figure it out when you need to figure it out.
Yeah, the offense did what they were doing before the Seattle series last night, and before Tuesday night, everyone got involved, like you mentioned. And I know it was the end of the long road trip. Maybe that had something to do with it, and maybe they will get back on track here. But they got a tough schedule coming ahead. They have to start winning these next few games here. And honestly, I'm gonna say I think they need to actually sweep the Marlins. They're at home. Marlins aren't good. The Mets have been putting up a lot of offense. They're pitching. They sold off so many pieces.
Yeah.
Go and sweep them.
Yeah. That's one of those ones where, again, as I would call it, at worst it should be 2 of 3 at worst.
Yep.
So, all right, let's get into some updates here. Before I get to really, I guess, the true injury report and transaction report, widely reported, you were even on it too, Kyle, that Eddie Rosario signed a minor league pact with the Mets. Was supposed to report yesterday to Syracuse. With the team there, because Syracuse is obviously on the road this week. That didn't happen. Have not seen any updates since. He's bounced around a little bit this year. Was with the Nationals to start. DFA'd him. Went to the Braves. Went back to the Braves. DFA'd him. He's been statistically the worst player in baseball this year. Obviously, the Mets are looking at this as kind of I wouldn't say true, maybe depth role, but let's see what you got, because clearly, you don't just regress this bad all of a sudden for a reason. So be interesting to kind of keep an eye on here what happens with him. But the fact of the matter is, was supposed to report yesterday, did not. Don't know really what to make of it at this point.
Yeah, I think it'll be a bigger issue if we don't see him report today. But yeah, his peak was 2021, and since then he's been average. But I guess you can never have enough depth. So it was a good move, just to have an extra outfielder in case. And as we've seen before, sometimes guys just go to a certain team and all of a sudden things click.
Yeah.
So maybe this will be the team if he ever gets an opportunity.
All right, let's get some other stuff here, and Kyle will really lean into you on this one a little bit here. So begin with Sean Reed-Foley, the righty reliever, had what the Mets are calling a non-injury setback in his rehab. He isn't happy more or less with his mechanics and how the ball is being released from his hand right now. I'm not a pitcher here, Kyle, so I'm going to go to you. What the hell does that mean, more or less?
That's kind of weird now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I've never personally had that issue, but the only thing I can think of is his arm motion's dropping too much, and he's not, hitting the zone enough. So he's not liking how it feels. So probably it's more of like an arm slot issue where he needs to release from a higher point or he's releasing from a lower point. Maybe that's it. But yeah, this is weird. I've never heard this from like a big leaguer. And especially no injuries to it. So, and what's up with the Mets having mechanical issues with their pitching staff? Kodai Senga, they don't want to come back right away because they're mechanics. Like, I haven't heard this from other teams with this many players.
Yeah, I don't know. This was definitely a first for me as well when I saw that. I do know, he's been kind of coming back, and he was the one guy where the Mets wanted to see some more back-to-back appearances. And the first couple goes of it didn't go as bad as the most recent couple. He'd been with Syracuse. I think in 2 combined games he gave up a few runs and stuff like that, and that's where it kind of bubbled up for him. So for their sake and his sake, hopefully they've kind of figured out it's not like a case of the yips or anything like that kind of creeping up. Daniel Nunez threw a bullpen session on Tuesday. We mentioned him a little bit last week. As he kind of comes back. Christian Scott, positive momentum here through a flat ground session on Tuesday, threw 35 pitches and max distance at 75 feet. So obviously the build up for him coming back from that UCL issue. Flat ground is still what I would call a relatively newish term for probably the broader baseball audience, right, Kyle? More or less, it's kind of just help pitchers work on drive, stuff like that, in effort to really kind of help with, it was meant for some more or less velocity, but now it's kind of evolved into like a rehab portion of these build up and throwing program sport pitchers.
Yeah, and from that feed, it builds your arm strength back up, to where it was. So yeah, it's good. And then when you're throwing that many throws, you get in a rhythm. So yeah, that's great progress. I honestly didn't think we'd see him again this year, and I guess there is actually a chance.
So the rest and relaxation portion of it for Christian Scott worked out well. So maybe that's a little bit of hope heading to the Bronx potential here. All right, circle back. Starry Marte been rehabbing with Syracuse all week. Maybe activated this weekend, maybe not. They were hoping that it would be against the Marlins, but it might be pushed back to the Baltimore series. Kind of depends how I'm guessing tonight really goes with the S-Mets game. And then familiar name for the Mets here, as I call it. Vinny Natoli signed a minor league contract with them. Has been assigned to AAA Syracuse. So welcome back, Vinny. Happy to have you back in Syracuse. He had been with Las Vegas and Norfolk this year. So,
well, they might as well now bring in Chase and Shreve, who just elected free agency.
I did see that, which is really weird because Colorado, I think, is back to having no lefties in the bullpen. But that's why we are in the seats over here, Kyle, not apparently in Denver. All right, we've mentioned it a ton already. The Mets have they're finishing up against Oakland today, then have Miami over the weekend, and then Baltimore before heading out west. Similar case in my mind, like we've said, Kyle, to the Yankees. Got to get this series against Miami because the Baltimore series will be tough, to say the least.
Yeah, I think they sweep Miami. I really do, and then I think they probably lose the series to the Orioles, which I hope not. I'll be rooting for the Mets big time in this one. Which is weird. I don't really root for the Mets ever, right. But that'll be the case.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the same plane of thinking there as well. Again, gotta go out and handle business against the teams you can handle business against. Let's circle to Rochester and Syracuse here quickly before we head out. It's been, knock on wood, fairly quiet weeks for the most part for both these teams. They're facing off against each other in the Thruway Cup. I think tonight, it is tonight that they're doing the battle of the dishes, Kyle. Salt potatoes versus the plates. Who are you going? Which you prefer?
I think the salt potatoes are winning this one.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
You're clearly a big salt potato guy over there.
I'm a fan. Okay. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I'm a fan.
All right, there you go. I do like a nice plate, though, every now and then. Oh.
What do you think in terms of the game, though?
Rochester. I'm going to go with the plates.
I think we have a spoiler night ahead here.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Rochester sole possession in the second place, still 3.5 back. The S-Mets, meanwhile, 9 games back, tied for 17th in the league. Has not been a great couple weeks for them. But they're also, again, go back to something I said last week, they're also really stuck in this quagmire of teams that pretty much starts at 6 games back and down to, I believe it's 10 games back, where it's just like, what the hell is going on here with over half the league? So, absolute chaos. Yeah. Rochester, there will be at Lehigh Valley next week. Syracuse returns home. They got the Durham Bulls next week. So, interesting stuff there. For the Red Wings, Kyle Luckham assigned to Double-A Harrisburg from Rochester. Right-hander Zach Bryce.
Who?
My God, I'm going to butcher this poor name.
I don't even know where to start with that name.
Brzezinski? There's no way I'm pronouncing that right. Assigned to Rochester from Double-A Harrisburg. Right-hand pitcher Orlando Ribalta and third baseman Andres Chaparro.
Yankee legend.
Minor league legend. Selected to Washington. Andres came over in the trade at the deadline, I believe, with Arizona. So keep an eye on that. For Syracuse, catcher Matt O'Neill and right-hander Carlos Guzman assigned to Double-A Binghamton from Syracuse. And they await, as we've mentioned, Eddie Rosario at this point. So I can wait to see there. So that'll do it for Concrete Jungle for this week, Kyle. I'm actually off to Michigan this weekend, but not for the Yankee Tigers game. I'll be at Michigan International Speedway for the NASCAR race for the first time ever, so I'm looking forward to that. I do want to shout out, this is a crossover of a different podcast that I do, but I do want to shout out, because we are a baseball podcast, I want to shout out the team I kind of help out with here in the summer, the Pioneers Championship Series. We are up 1-0 in that series, and it picks up again on Sunday. win Game 2 in the series on Sunday. Don't have to worry about Game 3 on Sunday, and we hoist the trophy. So just want to say good luck to the boys in blue as we are, and hopefully bring home a championship to Pios.
With being 100% honest, do you like your chances of sweeping?
Yes.
Okay. So is the other team just not good, or how close was the game last night?
Well, we are playing the White Sox, who are the defending champs.
Wow.
But no, it was 5-4 last night that we won. We actually jumped out to a 4-0 lead. And
Almost gave it away.
yeah, almost. But the boys are good. I said this to my dad last night. It's genuinely been the best experience the past couple of years with them because it's the most fun team I've ever been around, and the same time one of the best teams I've ever been around. And it's a rarity that you kind of get that combination at any sport at any level, and it's just kind of been super fun to kind of be a part of. And I don't want to jinx it, but I think we'll get it done on Sunday. I think the boys will get it done.
Is this the first championship year for you guys?
Well, we made the championship last year, and was it 2 years before that?
Oh, so you're regulars.
Yeah. So, huh?
You're regulars. You're used to it.
Kinda. Yeah.
Big games.
Yeah, I joked. I joked last night that if we don't get it done this year, I'm definitely under a Marty Schottenheimer territory in terms of like coaching elements of where it's like I can get you there, but we aren't going to win type thing. So. Yeah, I've gotten lucky in this league though. The teams I've been on, I've never missed the playoffs. It's been pretty good experience. So
Well, at least you're not Aaron Boone where you can't even get them there.
no, yeah, maybe who
Hate to
knows?
say it, but
Well,
you know,
we'll see. We'll see at the end of this year how that shakes out.
yeah. Might be talking about his job instead.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go and gun for it. Maybe. Either way, that'll do it. Kyle, hope you enjoyed the weekend, man. We'll catch you here back next Thursday.
Yep, for sure.
Perfect. All right, so we'll catch everybody else back here next Thursday. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.